Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Declutter Your Digital Life. My name is Jesse, and I'm coming to you live from the Massillon Public Library here in our recording studio. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us for tonight's class. In tonight's class, we are going to be talking about how to clean up your devices. We did a class back in the spring called Clean Up Your PC. This is sort of a continuation of that, but we're going to be talking about mobile devices in addition to PCs, so phones, tablets. We're also going to get into email and files and all kinds of different stuff. So I'm really excited for this class, and I'm glad to see everybody out there in the audience. What we're gonna do is we'll go through a little bit about us and about what we do. But before we do that, I do want to point out that this class, in addition to the previous two of our classes, is actually being presented in partnership with some other libraries. So we are from the Massillon Public Library, but we are partnering with Louisville Public Library and Orrville Public Library to provide this class. So the other libraries have been kind of promoting this class, and we're getting some patrons from those libraries that are tuning in. So if you are from Louisville or Orrville, welcome. We hope you like it, and hopefully you'll come to some classes in the future. Let's talk a little bit about us before we really dive into our topic tonight. So we are based out of Massillon, Ohio, and so we do technology training here at Massillon Public Library. So we teach classes like this. We're doing about one per month on a variety of different topics. We've done classes on safety, photo editing, privacy, just using the computer, all kinds of different things. We also teach in-person classes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end and give you some dates for some upcoming in-person stuff. And then we also do one-on-one appointments. So if you have questions about a particular device, it could be your phone, it could be your computer, you can give us a call and we can actually sit down with you for an hour here in the library and help you to learn how to use that device. So that's a cool feature that we actually been doing for a little while, and I just want to let everybody know about that. I'm joined tonight by someone who is a familiar face at this point. Jeff is going to be joining us and is going to be helping out with a variety of things during this class. So I'm going to switch over to him and let him introduce himself. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jesse. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So, yeah, I'm Jeff. I'm here helping out Jesse, kind of running the boards. I will be checking the chat. So if you guys have any questions for Jesse or me, make sure to put those in the chat so we can see them. Alternatively, you can send us an email. That email is below Jesse on the screen there. It's trainer@massillonlibrary.org. I have access to that here. So any questions you guys have, send those in, and we will be happy to answer them.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we will be seeing Jeff more throughout this class. So yeah. Awesome. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about our topic. So one of the things I do at the beginning of every class is I try to talk about why the topic matters, because, for you guys, why should you spend the next hour of your life watching this? So there's three reasons that I have for this topic being important. And reason number one is something that I think everybody would agree with. There is simply a lot going on in our digital lives. So, all of us, or many of us, have smartphones. We have maybe a computer. We might have a tablet. And all of those devices have a ton of things going on them. And it's easy to get overwhelmed with all that stuff, right? So this class is sort of designed to help mitigate that a little bit. Another thing that makes this topic important is that all that stuff creates complexity, and complexity, at least in my opinion, equals stress in most cases. So the more complex something is, the more stressful it is going to be for you. One of our things here is we're going to try to reduce the complexity, and so simplify is a word that I find myself using a lot when I think about this particular class. Now, another thing to talk about here at the beginning is when we talk about decluttering, right, we're kind of referring to clutter. And so in the physical world, in your house, in your apartment, clutter is very easy to quantify. You know, you can look around the room and you can see, okay, there's a bunch of things laying around over there. I need to deal with those. The issue with digital clutter is that it is very easy to ignore, precisely because it is actually invisible to you unless you are looking at your device. So when you put down your device, all that clutter that's on there, all those notifications, all those emails, they go away. Kind of, right? So they're still there, but when you turn the screen off, you don't see them anymore, and you can just allow that to build up and build up and build up, and it's very easy to kind of, you know, so to speak, like kind of brush things under the rug, sweep things under the rug, right? So we want to try to get you into the habit of not doing that, into being more cognizant of what is going on your device. Our purpose tonight is to quite simply teach you how to simplify and streamline your devices and files. So simplify, streamline, we're just trying to make things easy. That's something that Jeff and I like to talk a lot about here at the library with our technology, and we want to kind of encourage you to have the same mindset. This class is intended for anyone who feels overwhelmed by the technology that's in your life. So if you have a bunch of devices, you have your phone, you have your computer, and you're like, my goodness, I don't know what to do with all of this. This class is for you. So we're going to be going over just some very simple techniques that you can do to reduce that stress, to reduce that complexity that we were just mentioning. I've got 4 things for tonight's class that we're going to be going over. The first thing is going to be email. So we're going to be talking about your email, how to kind of get a hold on your inbox. We are then going to look at files. So these could be files on your computer or your phone. I think we're going to focus more on the computer side probably. We're then going to look at the browser. So, what is your browser and how do I make that a little more manageable? And then finally, we will look at your phone. And this is going to look at things like notifications, apps, things like that. So there's a lot of good stuff, I think, in this class. So stay with us. We'll be showing you examples for a lot of this stuff. I've got a computer here that you see. I've got an Apple iPad, and I also have an Android device that we can also demonstrate with. So there should be something for everybody in this class. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And so we are going to start, as I said a minute ago, with email. All right, so we'll start by talking about email. So I have 3 things that I want to go over in this section. And so the first thing that I want to go over is the idea of kind of reducing the amount of email that you get in the first place. What I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to unsubscribe from promotional emails. Okay, we're going to unsubscribe from promotional emails. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how to do this here real quick. And so we are actually going to look at this on the computer, but I do want to point out that this would be applicable on your phone as well. It's just a little easier for me to show it on the computer. So let me get logged in here real quick. All right. And then we will look at Gmail. So we're going to be illustrating this with Gmail. Gmail is the most popular email service, I would say. So it's a good one to kind of use because a lot of people are already familiar with it. So I'm going to switch over here, and you should see our mailbox. All right. So this is our Gmail inbox. And so there's not a lot in this. I was contemplating like signing up for a bunch of fake stuff, or signing up for a bunch of like promotional stuff. But then I was a little concerned about like, would we get a bunch of spam and stuff? So we're just going to have some standard Google stuff here, but it'll be enough to kind of serve as an example. So your inbox may be filled up a lot more than this one is, and we can see how many messages we have unread up here, so that we have 11 messages unread in this inbox. The total number of messages would be visible over here. So you can see we are looking at 1 through 18 of 18. So we don't have that much going on in our inbox. But let's say that we had some messages in here that were things that we just don't want to get anymore. I'm sure you've signed up for things before that you just simply don't want to be receiving emails over and over and over, from a particular company. So let's pick on Google here because they are the one who is sending us a lot of stuff. So I'm going to click on this one from the Google team, and this is a nice little thing about them wanting to give us, helpful suggestions about like setting up our new computer that we signed in with, right? So to unsubscribe, what you want to do is you want to go down to the bottom of a message. Okay, so go down to the bottom, and usually there's going to be the fine print that you can see right down here. You're going to look for a link here that says unsubscribe. Okay, unsubscribe, and then you would click on that. Now, I want to show you another little trick, at least in Gmail, and I believe that this is also kind of a thing on the iPhone. Jeff could maybe chime in on that and correct me if I'm wrong, but at the top of this message here, we have a little unsubscribe link at the very top. So you see how we have like who it's from and their email address, and then it says unsubscribe. So we could actually click that. I think that's like an automated way that Google is kind of parsing through this message and saying, oh, if you want to unsubscribe, here's the link. So you can do it very easily. To click on it, it's just going to offer to take us to a site, and usually all that is involved with this is simply clicking unsubscribe, going to a site, and you may have to check some boxes. So let's see what this one does. So we have some preferences here, and this one's actually super easy. All we do is click yes, unsubscribe me. Some of them would require you to type in your email. Maybe you would have to check some boxes for which newsletters you want to be removed from. But so this is pretty straightforward, right? So that is how you unsubscribe from an email. Okay, so if you're getting an email that you don't need, that's the best thing that you can do, honestly, is just unsubscribe from it. So that's number one. Number two is going to be something that may be a little more controversial, maybe. I don't know. So I am going to recommend that you delete emails you don't need. Okay, delete emails you don't need. And this one, the reason why I said it was controversial is I know there are some people who actually prefer to keep all of their emails. Like, so they would have like every email that has ever been sent to them. And so I guess I would say that's not technically wrong necessarily if you feel the need to do that. And especially if you're like, for work, you have to or something. I don't want you deleting stuff that you are going to need. My thinking, though, and you can see if you agree with me or not, my thinking is that the less email you have in your inbox, the easier it's going to be to find things in your inbox. And it also is just like it's less overhead, it's less stuff. And the whole goal of this class is to get rid of your stuff, right? So I'm going to recommend that you delete emails if you don't need them. So I'm going to switch back to Gmail over here, and we're going to take a look at how to do that. And this is something that probably many of you already know. So I'm going to switch back over. So this is our inbox, and if we return to the inbox here, you can see we're getting a bunch of security alerts here. We had signed into like new computers and stuff with this account. So we could go in individually, like click on one of these, and then we could go up to the trash can and hit delete, and it was deleted, right? So we could do that, or we could use these check boxes, right? So we could, kind of do all of these at once. The check boxes are pretty nice. And then, so we've selected, 6 emails there. We could then go up to delete and get rid of all of them. So using those tools, you can kind of get rid of stuff pretty quickly, especially if you don't need it, if they're all kind of the same, right? Now you might be thinking, well, where did those go? What if I made a mistake? I actually need that. So if you go over here on the left side and you go to more, and then you scroll through to trash and you click on trash, that is actually where all of your deleted emails are stored. Now it says up at the top there, they're kept for 30 days. So you do have a little bit of a grace period here. Like if you realize, oh man, like I actually really needed that one that was sent on, February 24th, like I actually need that. You can go back in here and get it. You can also empty the trash if you're like, no, I never want to see that again. You can delete things that way and just kind of put them out of existence, I guess, so to speak. So that is how you delete emails. That's something that I feel like probably most people are familiar with, but it's something that I would encourage you to do just because it will make your inbox a lot simpler, I guess I would say. And there's actually a kind of a concept that goes along with this that I want to kind of share with you. It's something I discovered, I believe it was like last year as I was doing some reading for tech-related stuff. The concept is a zero inbox. And so the idea is that we can strive for a zero inbox. Now, what does that mean, zero inbox? That means that you have basically nothing in your inbox at a given time. So, you get stuff coming in, obviously, but then you either file it away, you delete it, or you deal with it. And then, you just are always kind of in this, clean state, where you don't have all that stuff build up. The thing that appeals to me about this is I know when I let my email build up, when I get 20, 30 messages in there, then I'm like, well, man, I don't want to deal with that because that's actually going to take 10, 15 minutes to deal with, and I don't want to mess with it. And then it just keeps on piling up, and then before you know it, you've got hundreds, and then you're kind of in a real bad spot, and then you're probably just never going to do it. It's a way to avoid that. So thinking about this in terms of, getting to zero or having a zero inbox is actually something I think can be helpful. All right? So there's one more thing that we have to talk about here with email, and then we will move on. The thing we need to talk about is organizing your emails. And so the last thing I will recommend to you is you need to think about and seriously consider organizing your emails using folders or labels. Okay, so folders or labels. So this actually goes along with the whole zero inbox idea. So, remember I said, you either delete it if you don't need it, or you file it away, or you do something with it, right? But so being able to file things away is actually super important. So I'm going to show you that in Gmail, again on the web version, but you can do all of this on the on a mobile device as well. And I will be using mobile devices for other things in the class. I'm kind of trying to spread around the examples. All right. So let's switch over here, and we will go back to the inbox. So I'm going to find my mouse here. There it is. All right. And we will go up to inbox. And so let's say that we wanted to save one of these messages. So let's say this, I don't know, this YouTube thing here. So let's say we wanted to save this. So if we click the checkbox, or if we open the message, we can go up here to move to. So it's like a little folder with an arrow. If we click that, we have some categories we can put it in right away, right? So Google, social, updates, or we could create something of our own. So if we wanted to do, YouTube stuff, right? So we could create a new label, and we could put it under a label if we wanted to. We don't need to worry about that nesting right now. So let's click create. And then what we've done is we've moved it to a YouTube, in essence, a YouTube folder, a folder for all things YouTube. So where is that? It's over here. If you go to the sidebar and you scroll down a little bit, it looks like a tag, and then it says YouTube. And again, if you don't see it, you can always click more, and then be able to see all of your folders over there. So that is a way that you can create folders. Now, if we wanted to add another one here, we could check the box for this YouTube music. We could go to move to, and now you see YouTube shows up in the list. All we need to do is click on it, and now we have kind of archived that message as well. All right. So pretty straightforward stuff, but that piece I think is something that probably a lot of people don't do. A lot of people probably just have everything in the inbox, and having everything in the inbox isn't always the best way to go. Being able to use those folders and things like that are actually pretty helpful. All right. That is it for email. I want to check in with Jeff and see if he's got anything he'd like to add, or if we got any questions in the chat or in our email during that section. So did we get anything, Jeff?
Yeah, I actually had a question on your zero inbox concept.
Okay.
Do you do everything by hand or do you use filters at all? And for anyone out there that doesn't know, you can use filters in most email applications to kind of automate things. So you can say something like, any email that I get from YouTube, put it in the YouTube folder, and it would just go there directly. I was just kind of curious on your thoughts on zero inbox and filters.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I personally don't. So I do not get like a ridiculous amount of email myself. I try to unsubscribe from things, and from my personal email, at least I'm not getting deluged with, correspondence or something. So I do it manually, but I do know what you're talking about, Jeff. And I know that would actually be a really good way if you have like so much email, I just want to get rid of, this particular email from this particular sender and put it into a little folder. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Out of curiosity, do you do anything with rules and filters like that?
I do not. No. I probably should do some more, but I don't know. I find that if I make a folder sometimes and then it goes, then I forget about it. So then I just have this folder that's full of stuff that I forgot I had sent. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question though. Yeah. I do know people that do use those kind of things effectively. So yeah.
Had a question here. Could you show, how do you get rid of a folder that you don't need anymore?
Okay. So let's hop back into Gmail here, and we will look at that. All right, so we need to get rid of a label. So I'm actually not sure if we have to get rid of the messages first. Let's see. All right, so let's say we want to get rid of that YouTube folder, right? We can. Looks like it's going to let us do it. We can remove label. And so it's actually, okay, I get it. So it's actually removing the label from the conversations, but the conversations are, when it says that, it means the emails are still going to be there. So if we hit delete, this is the confusing thing about Google's nomenclature, I would say. So they have this concept of labels that are applied to emails. And so like you can actually have an email in multiple labels if you want. It's sort of different from folders. When we think of folders, we think like the email only exists, in this one folder at a time. But actually with Gmail, they're labels, and so it's a little easier to delete them. I know with Yahoo, so I've ran into this helping some people, where if you want to delete folders that you make in Yahoo, you actually have to get rid of all the stuff in the folder first. You have to have, in essence, an empty folder, and then you can delete it. So it is a little different depending on what platform you're using or what service you're using.
And then you just clicked on the three dots by the folder, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the three dots by the folder, and then you get rid of it. So it was super easy to do in Gmail. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Looks like we're good.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys have any other questions, we're here. We love to hear your questions. Send them on in, and we will get to them as soon as we can. All right. Let's go ahead and move on, and we will get to our second topic of tonight. So we spent a good deal of time talking about email and, unsubscribing and deleting and organizing. Let's look at files now and learn how to deal with the files that tend to kind of junk up our devices. And so I think for this one, I'm going to be focusing on the computer as well, because it's a little easier to show. And I actually have a little video that I prepared, a screencast to show you kind of this in action. But we're going to try to work in those mobile devices as well. If not now, then in the next couple, definitely in the phone section, right? We're gonna show you that side. So when it comes to files, the number one thing that I think of when I think of files is your downloaded files. So when you're online and when you're browsing around, you will tend to download things either wittingly or unwittingly. And so you want to kind of keep that downloads folder clean. So I recommend cleaning up your downloads. And I have a couple reasons for recommending this. So number one, it's kind of the same idea that I already mentioned with email. If you have a bunch of stuff in your downloads, it's hard to find new things that get put into your downloads. It's harder, I should say. And then also, at least when it comes to, either computer or mobile device, those files are taking up space on your hard drive or your storage. And so if you get a bunch of stuff there, and if you get to where you don't have a lot of space, you can actually, be potentially making your device unusable if that gets too bad. So you kind of want to keep those cleaned up if you can afford to. So I'll show you. I'll actually show you this on the mobile devices, because this is actually something that people might run into a little more on the mobile devices. So I'm going to go to the iPad here that we have, and I will unlock that. And then if everything goes okay, I should be able to show it to you. There it is. All right, awesome. So here is an iPad, right? And so if we want to get to our downloaded files, what you're going to look for is a file folder. So on this device, it's down at the bottom. So it's kind of like the dock down there, right? Like there's Safari, the little compass, and there's a music thing for iTunes, and then there's email, and then right beside that there's a folder. It's like a file folder, in white with blue. If you click on that, or tap on that, I should say, it will open up the Files app, and then within the Files app you can see different locations that you have on your device. So we have like iCloud. So the iCloud is like the cloud storage associated with our iPhone or iPad. And then we have downloads. And so this is where you would see files. Now, I actually don't have any files here. I wish I did, to show you how to kind of get rid of them. But you can just easily access this and just check it out. And usually to delete, you would either hold down and press on the screen, on the item, or you would maybe check it and then go up to delete, which would be at the top. It's usually a trash can icon. Let's look at the Android side, since we're looking at mobile devices. So if we go here on Android, we're also looking for something called Files. So if we swipe up for the apps list, and then we have Files here. So this is the Android version of that, but it should look pretty much the same. So we are doing pretty good as far as like using up space. We still have a lot of space here. But if we want to browse at the bottom and then we go to downloads, this will show us anything we've downloaded. And we also don't have anything on here. So I guess we're doing pretty good with this. But if we saw a bunch of files there, we would want to clean those out. And potentially get rid of them or save them onto another device. So that is how you access your downloads on both an iPad or an iPhone, and then on an Android device. Let me show you on a Windows device here real quick, since we're kind of giving you the full tour. So if we go to the desktop here and we go down to the bottom to the file folder, then we go to downloads, which is here on the sidebar on the left. You can see these are some things that we have downloaded. So we don't have a lot here, but we could get rid of things if we needed to. We could select one of these, right click, and go to delete. And then it goes into the recycle bin, which is over there on the desktop. All right. So pretty easy to do that on any platform, really. I think it's a little harder to get to that on the mobile device because it's not as much like in your face, I guess. So I wanted to definitely show you that. All right. So that's number one, clean up the downloads. Number two is going to be whoops, no, not clean up your downloads again. We just did that. We want to go to organize your files and into folders. So we want to kind of use the folder hierarchy that is on your machine to make things a little more sensible, right? And to make it easier to find things. So to do this, I'm going to actually illustrate this more on the computer because this is like a lot easier to illustrate on the computer. And I actually have a video. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to show the video right now. I'm going to wait till the end of this. All right. Good plan. All right. So, but I will show you how to get to the File Explorer and how to create a folder. So if we go over here, and we go to the File Explorer, which is down at the bottom. Again, a little folder thing. So normally you're going to put your documents in the Documents folder, which is located over here or right here. And then you have things like pictures and videos for those specific types of files. But if we go into Documents, you can see we've got some stuff in here, right? And if we want to create a folder, all we do is we go up to the top, we go to New Folder here, all right? So under Home, you may need to click Home, then you go to New Folder, and let's just call this, Library Stuff, right? So we have created a folder called Library Stuff. We can now put things in here if we want. So if we double click on it to open it, we could, start dragging any kinds of files in here that we wanted. And we could put, you normally wouldn't put like a shortcut in here, but like you could do it. You could drag it over. I'm going to undo that. You can copy and paste things. So like this presentation that I'm showing you right now, if I copy that, I go in here and I right click. So I'm right clicking, by the way, and then I left click on paste. There we go. So that is how you create folders and how you get things into your folders. All right. So it's an important thing to do. We're going to see that a little more in the little screencast that I created here in a minute. With files, I would also highly, highly encourage you to use descriptive names for your folders and your files. So I've encountered this before where I think people, it's kind of difficult to deal with all this stuff. And so when we do it, we tend to just want to get it done, right? And that's totally understandable. The issue is then if you put something into a folder and then you don't know where it is, then you can't find it. It's kind of like if you put something into a box and then put that box in your closet, but your closet is full of like 20 other boxes and they all look the same. And then you want to go find it one day and you're like, I got to look through all these boxes. And then it's actually like maybe harder than it would have been if you just had it laying out, somewhere, right? So you want to use descriptive names. So one thing I recommend is to just like say what it is. So if it's like vacation photos, say vacation photos, and maybe be more specific than that. Maybe say July 2021 vacation photos, or maybe July 2021 Daytona Beach vacation photos. Get specific. You can also consider using dates in your name. So if you want to kind of sort things by date, one thing I do, I'll switch over here and show you. So if we wanted to like name a folder, if I go to New Folder, I will name my folders with the year. I know it's kind of small, but if you can see, I'm typing the year, then a dash, then like we'll do July, so like 07. And then we could do a date after that, or we could just leave it at that, and then hit enter. And then if we do another one here, so like 08, 2021 08. Now you might wonder, why am I putting the year first? That's kind of weird. It's because if we sort, if we go here by name and sort by name, it's also going to sort by date, which is actually really nice if we want chronological stuff. So we want to see, I want my photos from, July of 2021. I don't have to like go looking through this big long list. I can just sort by the name and I'm done, and I can find it really easy. So it makes life easier for you. That's what we're trying to do here, right? Is make life easier for you. Okay? One more thing here, and this is going to be the final piece of the files portion, and this is one that is bound to maybe be controversial as well. I highly encourage you to keep your desktop clean. This is something I'm sure Jeff can vouch for this, because we work with a lot of people, at the library, and we see a lot of different, organizational structures, we maybe encounter some people who store like everything on the desktop. Have you ever come across that, Jeff, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I've run across that a lot. I think it's common the desktop is the thing you see the most. So I think it's an easy concept to put everything on the desktop because you move the mouse, your computer wakes up, your desktop's there's your folder, there's your, you don't have to worry about going into File Explorer. Right. But just like everything else, I have seen some very, very messy desktops, and then it almost becomes counterproductive because you can't find anything.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And so, in my ideal world, with the desktop, my desktop would look actually here. Let me do it real quick. This is what my desktop would look like. It would look like this, just blank. And now this is just me, and maybe I'm a little extreme, but I love having nothing on my desktop. It's just so like freeing. I have a nice picture there, and like now I will use it like temporarily to put things on there. Like so, if I'm working on a project, I'll put files on there, but then I'll always put them into like the documents. At least like 90% of the time, 95% of the time. I just feel like it's a better way to work. It's a better way to manage the stuff, to not have everything. Like, it's kind of like with your actual desk, so like on your actual desk, like I don't like having like piles of stuff on it. Like that just kind of stresses me out. I like putting it in a drawer, putting it on a shelf somewhere, and then my desk is clean, and then I can work. At least that's the ideal. So that's my advice. You can take it or leave it, but I think that you'll be better off if you keep your desktop clean. So before we end up, with this section and go on to the next one, what I want to do is I want to show you that video that I talked about where we go from like disaster to actual like serviceable desktop, serviceable computer, right? And so for that, I am going to switch to that video. So let's get that on here. I gotta click something. There we go. So this is a desktop. So this is, I made this very messy, right? And I did this on purpose. So we're gonna go through and kind of clean this up. I recorded this a couple days ago. So I'm right clicking on files here and then going to delete and left clicking. And so I'm getting rid of one at a time. That's progress, but it still looks bad. Number 2, all right, we got rid of that. That would take a while, right? If we did that like over and over and over again. And sometimes we can't always delete things necessarily. So what we want to do is we want to go into the documents folder and we want to create folders. And I just showed you how to do this, right? So I'm creating like a work folder here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that. And then I'm going to do a nifty little thing here where I move the window to the side and then I start dragging files into that folder. And so I'm just kind of like dumping them in there. It's almost like you have a box and you're just throwing stuff in there, right? And so I'm speeding it up here. I do a bunch of those. So we've made a pretty good dent in things right now, right? What we can also do is we can access the desktop from the File Explorer. So I click desktop and then I can sort by the type of file. So right now I've sorted by type and I'm looking at Word documents. So if I wanted like all the Word documents, I could do that. Now you might be wondering how did I do that? I clicked and then I went to the ending file and held down Shift and that selected a bunch at once. And then I copied them, right click and copy. And then I go in here to the folder, right click and paste. And there we go. We moved all those files at once. Actually, I cut the files. I didn't copy them. So I'm back in the File Explorer. And so let's say I wanted to, kind of move a bunch of other files. So I selected them using Shift. And then I went to Cut. And then I go to Documents. And I'm going to create another folder here for resume stuff, right? And then I'll go in there. I will right click. And then I will paste. So selecting multiple files using the Shift key is actually a really powerful thing to be able to do. We can then open another window. So I went to File and opened another window. And then from here, I'm going to have my desktop open on one side. And then I'm going to have my documents open on the other side. And then I can actually start dragging things over just like I was before. So there's multiple ways to do this. We can do the same thing with photos and folders. So here's a folder of vacation photos. Right click and cut, right click and paste on the other side. And then we can also do that with individual files. So using Shift to click to select multiple files and then going to cut. And then we could go into pictures instead of documents. Right click and we can paste those. Now we're getting pretty close to the end here. I'm gonna move some stuff around to make things a little more reasonable. And the things I want to keep. Now you can select multiple things by clicking and dragging, and so I can like do that with a bunch of stuff. Now you can do that for moving, you can also delete individually, as you see, or I could just select bunches of things there, right? So I selected a bunch of things, and I deleted them, sped that up just for time's sake, and now we are good. We're just putting on the finishing touches, and that is about it for our desktop recovery, project there. So we went from like horror desktop, there's just everything there, you can't see anything, to now it's nice and clean, and we have our stuff into certain folders in the documents and in the pictures area. All right, that's enough for files. Let's check in and see if we got any other questions, or if Jeff has anything he'd like to add.
Yeah, I was just going to say that that little screencast is a lot to digest. I think there's a lot going on there. Obviously, we're trying to condense stuff down into a reasonable time, but don't forget, we will have this video available after we're done tonight, so you can always go back through and watch that section if you need to see some more.
Awesome. Yeah. No, and it was, I struggled with, like, do I make it really long and then it just takes forever, or do I try to speed up? So yeah, I hope it wasn't like dizzying or whatever, but yeah. So, all right. Any other questions?
No, not right now.
All right. Awesome. So let's go ahead and keep on moving along here, and we are going to now shift gears and talk about the browser. Okay. The browser. So we've talked about email. We talked about kind of cleaning up that inbox. We talked about files and how you can clean up your downloads, how you can use folders to kind of store things, and how you can keep your desktop clean. What we're going to do now is look at the browser. And so when I say browser, what do I mean by that? A lot of people aren't really sure what a browser is. The browser is the program you use to get on the internet. So on your computer or on a phone, you have a browser. So like Google Chrome is an example of like a popular browser. Mozilla Firefox is another one. And then within the browser, you can go to any website. There's search engines like Google, Bing. I use like DuckDuckGo. But there's different ones out there. Your browser can kind of tend to sometimes accumulate junk, or potentially kind of like slow you down, I guess. So I have a few pieces of advice for your browser, for using your browser more effectively. Advice number 1 is to close tabs that you're not using, okay? Close tabs that you're not using. So I'm going to show you what I mean here in a second. But this is another one where some people like have a different mindset about this, and some people have like 30, 40, 50 tabs open like on a regular basis. And if that works for you, like and like you can't do it another way, then okay, like that's fine. But I would recommend for most people to not do that unless you have a specific reason to. And there's a few reasons that I have for that. Reason number 1 is that it's really hard on your computer or on your phone to have like all of those tabs open all the time. Those take up resources, and if you have too much of that going on, you might have a computer that's really slow and not really useful. Another thing is, like, I personally find it hard to find things if I have like 1,000 tabs, or 1,000's an exaggeration, but if I have a ton of tabs, dozens of them up top, it's difficult to find things. So we'll show this on the computer. So if I go into Google Chrome here, and we were in Gmail, if I just start opening up tabs at the top, it's quickly going to get kind of crazy. So, and imagine that each of these is not just a blank page. Imagine each of these is like a website. Okay, so you can see it's kind of hard. Now we could use this effectively. We could go to different websites and stuff. But what I would do here, if I was working on just Gmail, I would either manually close all of these, or I would right-click on the tab and I would go to close other tabs, and then that just got rid of all of those tabs there. So it made life a lot easier for my browser, and I would say it made life easier for me, because now I don't have to look up there and be like, oh my goodness, like what do I have open? How do I find things? So that is how you can kind of just quickly get rid of tabs. It's similar on the mobile device. So I'll fire up the iPad here and show you that. So if you're using like Safari, for example, on the iPad, We can switch over. So this is Safari, right? And so we've got a couple tabs open. Like I was doing a speed test here, and then we have like our favorites.
I think it's the downloads.
Oh, yeah, that's a good catch, Jeff. Yeah. So I was on the Android side. You guys were like, what is going on here? This is what we're supposed to see. So I've got like a speed test. I've got the favorites tab, and then if I go to plus, I can add more tabs. Now to get rid of them here, all I do is hit the little X on each tab, right? So if we want to kind of simplify things, and I could even, get rid of this one and just have a clean tab, a blank tab. And this is in Safari, but this would apply for like Chrome or really any browser that you have on either an iPhone or an Android device. So cleaning those tabs out is I think, an important thing, and I would encourage you to do it. All right. Now you might be thinking like, well, if I don't have all those tabs, like how can I find things? How am I going to be able to, keep track of things? Well, instead of using tabs, what I would encourage you to use is bookmarks. All right. So use bookmarks to arrange things into folders. All right. So bookmarks are your friend. Bookmarks will make life easier for you. They will make it so you don't have to have 30 tabs open at once. You can just have one tab or two tabs open at once and then have your bookmarks organized in a way that is easy to get to them. So let's hop back over to the computer over here. If we do that, so we're still in Gmail, right? If I want to go to, let's search for Maslin Library, right? That's who we are. If we go to Maslin Library and I click on that, here's our website. And we actually already have this bookmarked. So I think I had done this a little bit ago. But if we wanted to bookmark it, we would click over here. Let's go to another site. Let's go to our YouTube page, which we're watching. This is going to be weird. We're going to see like us on here. Yeah, here's our class going on right now. If we go to the star, so for bookmark this tab, and then we go to add bookmark, we can like name the bookmark. So we could leave it as is, or we could do MPL YouTube, and then we could go to a folder. We can in most cases you want to just put things on the bookmarks bar, but when you start getting a ton of bookmarks, you might want to think about making folders. We have one for libraries here, and you can move these around. Like I can move it over there. We can right click here and go to bookmark manager, and then we could actually start creating folders and stuff here. Add a new folder, YouTube, put that in the YouTube folder. Now there we go. So you can really do whatever you want with this. There's no right or wrong way to organize bookmarks, but I would highly encourage that you do it. And you can run into the same thing with bookmarks. If you're not using folders and you just have, I've seen people have maybe literally 1,000 bookmarks, and it's like impossible to find things. You would have to search through your bookmarks to find things. If you just kind of arrange them into folders, life is better, at least in my opinion. All right. So that is using folders and bookmarks in conjunction. So the third thing we're going to talk about here is to get rid of browser extensions. And so browser extensions are a piece that I think a lot of people don't really know about, and they don't necessarily know that they have them. And so I'm trying to think of a good way to define browser extensions, because that's actually maybe a confusing idea. Jeff, not to put you on the spot here, but would you have a good definition for what a browser extension is by chance?
I kind of think of a browser extension as like a shortcut. It's like a shortcut to maybe an application or a web app. So you don't have to continually go to the web page to use it. I think some people use it for coupon clipping or money saving, kind of things. It's just easy to have that on the browser and it works for you. So if you you can go to a shop to buy something and it says, oh, just so you know, this thing was this price at one time, or this is the cheapest price it's been. So it's kind of a convenience.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they're like shortcuts, and then they like do something for you, and I think it's intended to be convenient, but then like there's a lot of times when it's not like at all. Like I'm sure you've seen this probably before, where like you go onto somebody's, you open up Chrome and there's like 10 browser extensions, and they're getting these weird like pop-ups, and like I don't know, like that's.
I do think there's a fine line of like having too many extensions where some of them start to interact with the other ones and potentially cause some issues. Just like tabs, you're getting into memory on your computer and stuff that can cause some slowdowns when you have your browser open. So yeah, if you're going to use extensions, I think it's smart just to be kind of wary of how many you have.
Yeah, be like judicious maybe about
Yes.
browser extensions.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you like how to see if you have browser extensions. So if we switch over here to Chrome again, if we go to the three dots, so the menu, and then we go to more tools here, and then we go to extensions. Here is like our extensions, and these are actually just all the default ones. These are not anything I would necessarily be concerned about, but let me show you how you get like extensions, and like then we can see how to remove them. So like if we go here to the apps and to the web store, a common one I've seen people have, and I can't comment one way or the other if this is actually helpful or not, is Grammarly. Some of you out there maybe use that. I think it's supposed to help you with your writing. So if we click on that and click add to Chrome, we're like adding an extension. So yeah, like it's kind of like a little shortcut that kind of does things for you. And then we see that up here. So if you have extensions, they'll kind of be up here on the top, and then this like wants us to create an account and stuff. So maybe we tried this out and then we're thinking, oh, like maybe we don't want to do this. So if we click on the extensions button that showed up here, we can go to manage extensions, or we could go here to more tools, extensions, and then here's Grammarly. Now we can do two things here. We could either disable the extension by clicking the toggle here, or we could go to remove. If you're going to, like, if an extension is bothering you, I would just remove it. Like there are legitimately some extensions that are like, when I see people and they have them, I'm like, no, just like let's go through and get rid of these. So if we click on remove and then click remove again, you'll notice it took that away. And if we go back to that tab, there's no more extension there, at least the one we just installed. So that is what browser extensions are and kind of how they operate. I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue on the mobile device, like on a phone, because typically you're going to use an app maybe on a mobile device. But on the computer side, that's definitely something to kind of keep in mind and to maybe get rid of those extensions if you can afford to. So that is about it for the browser portion of the class. So just key things there. Close tabs if you can, use bookmarks, and then if you have extensions that are in your browser, consider getting rid of those. I'm going to check in with Jeff here again and see if we had any questions come through in the chat, and we'll try to get those answered.
No questions yet, but we did have, it's kind of a question about if we are archiving these past live streams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are. So I placed a link to our YouTube playlist in chat if you guys want to take a look at that, or you can just go to the Massillon Public Library YouTube page, go to playlists, and they are located in there.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Very good. We will kind of move along, and we're getting kind of towards the end of the class. We got one more thing to talk about, though. So we've went through quite a bit so far. We've looked at email. We looked at files. We looked at the browser, and so we looked at things like tabs and bookmarks and all that good stuff. Now we're going to focus on the phone. And so this is actually maybe the piece that people are dealing with a lot. Maybe on a day-to-day basis. So what we're going to do is pull up both our iPad, which would represent the iPhone side of things, and then our Android tablet, which would obviously correspond to Android phones. And we will look at some common things you can do to make your phone a little bit more understandable, or like easy to use, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So The number one thing that I'm going to recommend to you with your phone is to deal with notifications promptly. And this is actually something that I see a lot of people not doing at all. When we talk about notifications, notifications are basically little messages from the apps on your phone or from your phone itself that that the phone or the app thinks are important. So it's kind of like if you get a text message, you get a notification and it'll say, hey, you got a text message from so-and-so. And then you can tap on it and you can open. And those are helpful in most cases, like text messages, voicemails, missed calls, etc. The issue is you get apps on there that are trying to tell you things are important that actually aren't important maybe. And they just like bombard you, and then you don't even look at your notifications anymore because maybe there's too much up there, and then you might be missing important stuff. So we're gonna switch over to the iPad here, and I will show you how to see your notifications. And we may not have too many on here because these devices are pretty clean. We don't have a lot going on, but I can at least show you how to get to there. So if we hop over to the iPad, so this is the home screen, right? Notifications will typically appear in the notification area, and the way we get to that is we pull down from the top of the screen. I just kind of pulled down. It's almost like pulling down a blind on a window, right? And we have Notification Center, and we have a software update that will be auto-installed. That's actually helpful to know. So if my phone just restarts and starts installing something, I know what that is. So that's a pretty nice thing to do, and we can swipe up to get rid of that. If we wanted to go back in there, and if we wanted to tap on that notification, it'll actually open up in the settings. That's the app that kind of sent us that notification, and we could install that update, which we probably want to do just for security and stuff like that. So that is the Apple side of things, how to get to notifications. And you can do other things. I'm going to show you on the Android side where you can dismiss notifications. So if we hop over there, so this is our Android device, and we've got more notifications. If you see at the top left corner, there's like a bunch of little icons. Those are notification icons, and it's the same deal. If we swipe down, kind of like pull down from the top of the screen, all of those icons correspond to one entry in this menu. And so we've got emails, we have like account activity things. If we scroll up, we have an update. As coincidentally, we also have an update here. We have different things. Now we could tap on these to open them, or we can do this. We could, for this one at the bottom about Amazon Music, if I just swipe away, swipe to the left or the right, it'll get rid of the notification. Okay, and so that's a helpful thing to be able to do. If we go through here, maybe we want to look at our emails, so we go in there to our Gmail and we look at that and we say, okay, that's great. Let's hit the home button again, swipe down. Maybe we don't want to mess with these account activity ones, and then we're going to deal with that one here a little later for the update. So we've actually cleaned up those notifications quite a bit on both devices, right? So that's how you access notifications. The reason that I stress this is because some notifications are actually important. If you are waiting on a text message from somebody, or if you're waiting on somebody to call you back, and they left a voicemail or something like that, if you have tons of notifications up there, you're not even going to be able to see if you did get a new one, and you're not even going to be able to see that call or that text message. So try to stay on top of those. It's kind of like email. If you just deal with it throughout the day, then it's not an issue. It's when you let it build up that it becomes overwhelming. If apps are constantly bombarding you with notifications, you can turn notifications off in a lot of cases. So if we switch over to the iPad again, and if we go to the settings, so like we're at the home screen now, if we go to the settings at the bottom, like the little gear thing, and then if we go on the side here, you see notifications there. It's like a little red little category. We can go through, and for any particular program or app on here, we could tap on that app. So like, let's say, I don't know, let's say FaceTime. We're getting bothered by FaceTime. If we want to turn off notifications for FaceTime completely, toggle at the top. If we just tap that, we will never get a notification from FaceTime in the future. Sometimes you can get a little more granular with it, but that's actually just a nice, easy way to like turn off an annoying app. On the Android side, it's very similar. If you go to settings, so like we have the little gear icon at the bottom left, if we tap on that, and then if we go to, we got a bunch of things popping up there. If we go to notifications, apps and notifications, there it is. If we tap on that, we can go into a particular app. So we'll find something to pick on here. If we go to see all apps, so let's do Amazon Music because we already kind of were looking at that. If we tap on notifications for Amazon Music, and we can turn off, I tap that toggle. Now we're not going to get any notifications for that particular app anymore. Now, another thing that you could do with this is you could actually just uninstall the app. So like if you don't need it, I would actually encourage you to do that. And that's actually my next point, is to uninstall unnecessary apps. The more apps you have on your device, the more stuff it's going to have running in the background. All of these apps are like checking things, on the internet constantly. They're running your battery down. They're taking up your storage space. So if you don't need an app, just get rid of it. To do that, it's pretty simple. I'll go back over to the iPad. If we want to get rid of something, let's say we want to get rid of, what do we want to pick on here? Let's go to GarageBand. Okay, if we hold down and like long press on GarageBand, it's like a music app. If we don't use it, we can tap on Delete App, and it will ask us if we're sure. We can hit delete. There we go. It's like super easy. So super easy to do. On the Android side, it's going to be somewhat similar. There are like several ways to do it on Android, which could maybe be confusing. Whoops, sorry about that. If we wanted to delete, let's say we don't have I didn't put a ton of extra apps. Let's say we wanted to get rid of the Edge browser. If I hold down on it, we can usually drag it around, and if we go up to uninstall and just let go of it, it'll uninstall that particular app, and then we would just hit OK. So it's a very, very kind of similar idea there, and you see that icon did disappear after a second. All right, there's other ways to do it, but that's just like the quick version of how to uninstall things on both of those devices. We got, I think, one or two more things in here. So, this is another potentially controversial one, or one that's going to make you like, I don't know if I want to do that. If you have tons of text messages, I actually would recommend you delete old texts that you don't need. And this is something that I have been doing. I used to never do it. I used to have thousands of text messages. You'd open up a conversation and it would go back like a year. And I started doing it. And so honestly, text messages don't take up a ton of space necessarily. The reason I delete old text is just to keep it clean, honestly. So if I go into my text, I don't have a wall of different conversations. I just have a few conversations that I've just been having. Now, you can always save pictures out of a text message, there's that kind of stuff, but I kind of just like keeping it minimal, keeping it basic. I just find that is that reduces stress, at least for me. Now, if you don't want to do that, this is probably the thing that if you didn't want to do it, of all the things I've told you, it wouldn't hurt you. It would have the least impact on you. But I do think it's going to reduce your sense of clutter, and it's going to just help keep you maybe stress-free or a little bit less stressed out by all the stuff on your phone. All right. We'll check in to see if we had any questions here again. So did we get anything, Jeff?
Yeah, we got a question here. Is there a way to sync photos from your iPhone to a computer other than hooking up your phone to the computer? I know you're a big Apple guy, so I'll let you handle this.
Yeah, Jeff's making fun of me because I have an Android phone. We were talking about this earlier, but yeah. So anyway, there is a way to do that on an iPhone or on an Android device. and you would want to sync the photos using a cloud storage service. So you could use iCloud if you're on an iPhone. You could use Google Photos if you're on either an iPhone or an Apple device. There are other ones you could use, like OneDrive, different ones. But that would eliminate the need to like plug in the phone. And then basically, you're just going to have your photos stored in the cloud, and then you could just download them from the computer. So you'd sign into like Google Drive, or you'd sign into iCloud, you'd download them there, and that way they're like backed up in the cloud, and then you can also back them up on your computer if you would like. I would say that's probably the easiest way. I mean, would you agree, Jeff?
Yeah, iCloud also has if you go to iCloud.com, there's a Windows app you can download to sync that way if you don't want to just go through the web.
This actually reminded me of this whole like Apple versus Android thing. That thing you showed me earlier about the storage on the iPhone. Let me show that real quick. All right, because it was pretty cool. So Jeff discovered. Whoops, wrong one. No. All right, there we go. We got to the iPad. All right. So if you go to settings and you want to get rid of apps. If you go to general, so you go to general, and then you go to, it'll say like iPhone storage or iPad storage if you're on an iPad. If you tap on that, there's this thing for offload unused apps. And if you enable that, that will automatically delete apps that you're not using. So that could be a useful thing if you don't want to like manage this so much. You could have the phone do that work for you. So that was just a cool thing that I had it written down here, and I skipped it, but Jeff had discovered that, and I thought that was a pretty nice thing. So.
I should clarify that my daughter actually found it, because she will be very angry if she reads this and thinks I took credit for it.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay. Got to give credit where credit's
That's right.
due. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? Or
nope, that's it.
Awesome. All right. So just to wrap up here real quick, we have went through quite a bit, I think. We've looked at email, unsubscribing, deleting, folders, labels. We looked at files, kind of being able to use folders and to keep that desktop clean. Maybe, we showed an example of that. We also looked at the browser, and so, things like tabs, and browser extensions and using bookmarks effectively. And then finally, that last piece, we looked at the phone, and we talked about notifications, being able to deal with them, apps, getting rid of unnecessary apps, and then also potentially maybe deleting text messages even if you don't need them. The moral of the story for tonight is basically that digital clutter causes unneeded stress. And I think everyone would agree with this. Everyone would certainly agree with this for physical clutter, but digital clutter also, this is true. The solution to this is to simplify your digital life. If you can simplify things, if you can get things down to the kind of the minimal base necessities that you need, your life will be better as far as your life on your device, and you'll be able to use that device better. It will work better for you. You'll just have less to think about, and I'm sure all of us could appreciate having less to worry about, having less to think about. So don't let your phone become a source of stress. Take control of it, get rid of stuff that you don't need, and you will have a better time. All right. So that's about it for tonight's class. I do want to advertise to you, though, before we finish up here, because we got a bunch of stuff coming up, and I think we've had a lot of interest in some of this. So over the next couple of months, we have some in-person and online classes. We've got Computer Essentials Windows 10. I think we have like 1 or 2 seats for that available. That is an in-person class that's going to be next Tuesday afternoon here. In September, we're actually doing something kind of cool. I'm excited about it. I hope we're going to get some people to show up. It is Public Speaking 101. This is actually not strictly a technology class, but I'm like super excited to like talk about how you talk to people and to maybe do a little public speaking with people. I know sometimes people can get anxious about that, but I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope we'll see some people out here for it. Streaming TV for beginners is going to be offered later in September. That's an online class. That's going to be a updated version of the class that we ran way back when last October. So that was one of our first online classes ever. This is going to be an updated, new and improved version of that. Excel Essentials, Wednesday, September 29th. PowerPoint Essentials, both of those classes are kind of similar, dealing with Microsoft Office. And then finally in late October, we're doing a first look at Windows 11. So many of you may not know this, but Windows 11 is coming out. Windows 10 is no longer the latest and greatest, and we're going to be looking at that in theory before anybody in the general public really gets to look at it. So if you want kind of a sneak peek at that, just feel free to join us on the 21st. If you need to get in contact with us, here's our phone number, 330-832-9831, extension 344. You can also email us at trainer@masslinlibrary.org. Finally, we would appreciate your feedback. In the description, there is a link that you can click on. It will have just some really simple questions. You can give us ideas for classes. We really like to hear from you guys, so if you want to check that out, please do so. That's about it. That's all I've got. Thank you guys. Let's check in with Jeff and see if he's got any final thoughts, or maybe we got anything in the chat come through.
Nope. We're good. It's been, I think this class has gone on long enough. So thank you everyone who's kind of stuck around here towards the end. We appreciate it.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you guys. And we will be seeing you either in person or at our next online class. So have a good evening, guys.
Bye.